Hey everyone, I'm James, and I've been researching Hurricane Sandy from fall 2012, and I've been interested in Alliance Power Group and their electrical response in the Northeast following the superstorm. My own dad was actually involved in the initial response as an electrical power lineman. He was deployed from Naperville, Illinois, and spent 4 or 5 weeks in the Northeast, a lot of time in Boston and Delaware and so on. Uh, so yeah, I'd like to show you what this was all about.
Down power lines could keep millions of Americans in the dark long after the storm itself has passed. Already, an army of power company workers are on their way from as far away as Oklahoma and Ohio. ABC's David Curley is in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware tonight. Dave, good evening.
Good evening to you, David. And as these waves continue to crash in this direction, you are right. There is an army headed from the other direction. It's an army of utility workers. And if the predictions are right, these lights are going to be out and those workers are going to be extremely busy. The power was going out even before the full force of Sandy hit shore.
But you see the fuse dangling?
Larry Jackson knows the worst is still to come.
We're probably working 16-hour days.
Thousands of utility workers are in their trucks and headed east tonight to repair what are expected to be massive power outages. These beach vacationers packed up to head home, inland.
Actually, the aftermath is what we're concerned about.
No power.
Right, and for days.
The power outages are expected to be widespread.
It may take a long time not only to clear, but also to get, for example, the power companies back in.
During Hurricane Irene last year, about 6 million homes lost electricity. This researcher plugged in all the information into a new program, and he believes this will be worse.
Our estimate at this point is 10 million. It could be higher, could be lower.
10 million or more without power for a week to 10 days, which is why this Wisconsin company has added extra shifts, trying to build as many portable generators as quickly as possible. Officials worry that residents might misuse some of those generators, putting them indoors or stringing extension cords dangerously. Many seem to be heeding the warnings, checking off their list of preparedness, batteries, water, non-perishable food.
I'm nervous about losing power. I'm nervous about the storm.
Of course, the real worry here are trees that bring down these power lines. We all know not to touch the power line, but the experts say leave the limbs alone too. Just call the power company, David. Let them come and handle the entire thing. Looks like it could be really a mess later this week.
All right, David Curley, great advice. Our thanks to you tonight.
Yeah, so when my dad, he was, like I said, he was an electrical power lineman for the city of Naperville, Illinois. It was a municipality, so Naperville has their own electric department. Alliance Power, similarly, is involved in a lot of things, including electricity in the Northeast, but they also have the power and capacity to do much more, such as management, construction, emergency services, logistics, and really a whole bunch of other things that they're involved in. And one of them was certainly Superstorm Sandy response and taking electrical workers from the Midwest and other states and utilizing them in a productive manner for weeks at a time, giving them direction, giving them clear instruction on how to do their job, and how to maximize efficiency between the 67,000 linemen coming from across the country. Now, there are other groups there too, like, Edison and then the Public Works within the Northeast itself, but Alliance Power was really crucial in taking people from the Midwest and utilizing their skills and their expertise to make sure response could be as efficient as possible. Now, the thing about Sandy was that it was quite unique. Here's the path on the left side. That's the path of the hurricane, and on the right here, I'm actually going to play a clip of what it looked like from satellite images. So very quickly, it turned from a tropical disturbance to a tropical storm, and by the time it reaches the southern tip of Florida, this region here, it's already a stage 3 hurricane. Big, fast winds, wide circumference, 900 miles wide. It's very, very big Atlantic hurricane. And as you can see, over here on the left side, we actually have a number of low pressure systems coming in from the west as Sandy's coming up the northeast. So it's actually quite a problem, and it's going to be this is going to be this adds to the problems that uh, the people in the coastal communities actually feel, because the hurricanes on one side, they get sandwiched between this low pressure system, and you just have a bunch of crazy things happening. And by the time this reaches Florida, people like my dad in Naperville, Illinois, are already staging in the Northeast, waiting for problems to happen. Uh, but as you can see here, it's just wreaking havoc over here. And they thought maybe it would slow down after touching land. What happens is it actually goes back out over the coast and it picks up speed again. And you can see on this path here that Sandy actually makes this crazy left hook and goes very quickly into the northeast. Touches land and just sits over this. And at the same time, you have this low pressure system coming in, and it just sandwiches, all the states up here, and it just keeps coming and coming, and you have all these problems. You have heavy snowfall, heavy rain, fast winds. It's very, very devastating. Oh, not to mention storm surge up the entire East Coast, from Florida to Maine. Everybody has immense problems. Um, it was one of the costliest storms that we've ever recorded here in the United States. And since there was this low pressure system in the hurricane, that's why we call it a superstorm, because you see this, I want to say unity of destruction just sitting over the northeast quadrant of the country. So yeah, it's very devastating. A lot of power lines coming down, a lot of trees coming down. It was October, November, so there's still leaves on trees. And when trees fall, they like to take everything down with them, including power lines. So yeah, that is why there was such devastation from Sandy. So the electrical first responders, they basically did what they would always do in their jobs, just on a mass scale. So the Northeast Energy totally overwhelmed, 8.7 million outages, and this is commercial and residential and everything in between. I'm talking hospitals, schools, old folks' homes, things where power has to be in place. It was a very stressful time for a lot of people. And the storm surge areas, so the coastal areas, had the costliest and longest recovery. This image here on the right, that is Northeast coastal community, totally devastated. Years and years of recovery for places affected by a storm surge. Um, like I said, 67,000 electrical workers from across the country responded to the outages. Now, I can't say for sure, but I do believe it's the single biggest, I want to say, migration of electrical power linemen to work on a specific project in the history of the United States. Uh, or at least it's up there. It has to be one of, I'd say, top 2 or 3 movements of electrical power linemen in the history of the country. And Alliance Power Group was very key in utilizing them and coordinating their efforts and making sure people could actually work in these conditions for 4, 5, 6 weeks. Now remember, by November 2nd, the storm was pretty much over. And from the 8.7 million outages, 7,860,000 customers were already restored. That's rather quick. A lot of people out of power, but people were working very quickly. But the issue was, what about these remaining people? And most of them could be kind of split up into this long-term recovery, which was out of the scope of the initial electrical first responders. If you look at these surge communities, just totally devastated. There's no power. There's no community. Homes are decimated. That's going to take years for power to come back on, because there's nowhere for power to actually go to. But for what electrical workers could do with what they had, it's, in my opinion, that they did a phenomenal job. And a lot of people took charge, and Alliance Power Group was one of them. And you don't really hear about that, but without their efforts, a lot of people would be without power for a much, much longer time. And then my thoughts, for me, I'm just gonna say this about Sandy. It's when my father actually went into disaster zone and was working, and I said, "Wow, I think that's when I want to be in disaster relief work." And that's this quote: "All things that begin have a cause." And my calling in life can actually be traced back to that moment when my own dad was engaged in this disaster work, and I said, "I want to spend my life doing what dad does." And then this quote here: "Wherever you are, be all there." That's from the Wheaton grad Jim Elliott, and I've always really liked that quote. And to me, all those workers who were initial response, they were all in, working 16-hour days, you know, quite dangerous work, but they were there because they believe in that purpose. And I think if you have a group of people who believe in what they do and they're all there, you can have great capacity to do great things. Um, so yeah, I guess that's my thoughts on Sandy.